So today we have a question for Mike Jarris. And that question is, after modifying my XML config, I get an error about unexpected closing tag on configuration load. How do I troubleshoot this?
Um, so let's talk a little bit about how the FreeSWITCH configs work. So in the FreeSWITCH configs, it is roughly XML, but it's not exactly XML in that we provide a preprocessor that generates XML. This allows you to do glob includes and stuff like that and break your config file into multiple files. So when you get an XML error for loading a config file, the line numbers that it's going to complain about are in the compiled XML. So the best way to look at that is when you get that error message to open up the compiled XML, which is in the log directory, and it's a file called freeswitch.xml.fsxml. And if you open up that file and go to the line number, that will point you to the place that our parser has found the error. So frequently that'll be fairly close to where it's at, but not always. Sometimes if it's a missing closing tag, it can't tell until much further down that it's a missing closing tag because of how the structure of the document. But frequently that'll point you to the section, and then you can scroll up a little bit, see what section you're in, and find the corresponding file. Now, do not modify the FreeSWITCH XML FSXML file since that's generated. You'll have to go to your actual config files and make the modifications in that location. Also be aware that the preparser has all kinds of nifty options, including running a script that generates XML and things like that. So you may not be editing static XML. You may have to go edit your program that generates it. The other time you could get an error like that would be if you're using something like XML curl or one of the other dynamic parsers, and it's on an individual response. So each of those tend to have some sort of debugging method. So for XML curl, it's XML_curl space debug_on. If you turn that on, you can see what the request was and what the response was, and you can take a look at that response and see what's wrong with the XML. Go check your code as well. So all of those issues should be covered in one of those types of approaches, and it should help you track down where your problems are.
What about nifty little tools like XML lint?
The files generally should be parsable in that. We do not have full XML schemas that go with all of our config files, so it's not going to catch everything, but it should catch things like missing tags and missing closing tags and things like that as well.
Okay, well, thank you, Michael, for helping out Petr Both, who posted this question on the FreeSWITCH mailing list. Always a great source of information.